like a Walmart. We don't want a Walmart. I don't think anybody on this board wants a Walmart. But we want a store that will give us different products than we have right now. It can happen. It's happening. We just have a little more patience. Financing is going to be great when this fuel cell comes in, because it's going to allow economic development.
Okay, thanks. Any other member of the panel has a right to also talk about that issue? And if you, Mike?
Again, I appreciate what both the candidates had to say. I do think that one of the things that you said, John, tomorrow night is very key. Again, with that new development that's coming in, the new fuel cell, but really what's also key is Eversource bringing in natural gas into town. Well, but what we do have to do is make sure the fact that as a town and as a Board of Finance, we are making the proper investments to be proactive. We want to make sure the fact is, and when we look at that, we want to be proactive as type of businesses that we can actually bring into town that can take advantage of this new opportunity that we see in front of us as far as the natural gas. What industries that will actually increase our tax base, reducing the tax burden to our citizens, but also fit into the character of Colchester. All right, but those are things that we have to be proactive as a town, making sure that we identify those types of industries and we make the proper investments to attract them, and make sure the fact that we go out there and market our community going forward. And I think it's a responsibility of really all three boards to make sure we do that. Again, obviously the Board of Education, the better education we have, the more people are going to want to come to our town to actually utilize it. Same thing with the Board of Finance, the proper investments we make, as well as the decisions made by the Board of Selectmen. Thank you very much.
And anybody else? Mike Hayes? I'm sorry, Denise, I saw him
That's
first.
okay. No,
Well, first,
Are you sure now?
So, in terms of economic development, it has to happen in Colchester for us to move ahead.
Speak up.
It's a given fact.
Speak up.
I'm sorry,
Speak up.
too loud?
Speak up.
So, economic development in Colchester is a given fact. It has to happen. Without it, our tax base is going to go stagnant, and we're all going to suffer from it. As a member of the Sewer and Water Commission, I can tell you, we have currently updated our sewer and water system down to where the new stores and the state garage is up on the hill. We have approximately 500 acres of available land that has access to Route 2 and Route 11. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to put industrial facilities up in that area. It's far enough away from town, it's not going to impact the look of our town or how the community looks at downtown. I will say one thing, bringing residents to the town of Colchester, building new houses is not economic development, it is regression in taxes. For every house that you build that has three bedrooms, generally there's 3 children, and at $15,000 a year, that's going to be $45,000 in education you're going to have to spend. And those houses, if they're expensive, they might pay $9,000. We will lose money by building more houses. We're not going to gain money by it. And as far as, I used to do what I was talking about, I used to do studies as a real estate appraiser, okay? We have more than just Colchester. Colchester has 16,000 people. We have Lisbon, we have Lebanon, we have Salem. When somebody does an economic study, they also factor all that into it, okay? Who's ever doing the economic studies for this town is not doing it the proper way. We have the most vital system right down here to develop and grow our tax base. We can put up what we call incubator buildings. We've done this in the town where I came from, and we build the buildings, we put business in them. The state has a 5-year program where they do not charge any taxes to if it's a manufacturer, they give them a tax break on all their equipment. We give them a low rate on their taxes, we give them a low rate on their rent in the building. After 5 years, they progress and they move up to a bigger building, and we fill it with another system. That is what an incubator system is for. We have the ideal situation for it, and I have to impress upon you, bringing more people to town with 3 or 4 children is not going to help the tax base is going to make it higher. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Denise.
It's okay, I don't want to reiterate what was already just said.
Yeah, okay. As probably, as many of you know, I have a nonprofit group called Colchester Concerned Citizens. And we are always mindful to watch out for industrial activities in residential zones, because the worst thing that could happen to you as homeowners, as landowners, is to have something that's so intrusive that ruins your happiness, your health, your safety, and most of all, your prosperity that you should have on your own property. So we have to be very diligent and very careful to make sure the businesses that we bring into this town stay where they belong in the industrial park, which was so created, which is wonderful to have. They stay there. We don't want them amongst our homes. And I've heard some things, coming that, oh, we want to bring, activity development to the outer skirts of town. Well, that's fine. But if you're like me, who purchased in the outskirts, there's a reason why I purchased out there. It's because I didn't want to be in the center of town with a lot of people, with a lot of business and activity and cars and noises and pollution and stuff around me. And that is the sentiment that you're going to find in the western, or the suburbs around. So we have to be really mindful to that and careful. And when I just went up to visit my son, I had to go through Bristol. It seemed kind of quaint at first, but boy, it's commercial all the way. And then you get little outskirts where you get by the state forest, you get some homes. I couldn't wait to get back to Colchester, to drive down Route 16 and see the tree-lined roads, and like, I could drive, it's peaceful, there's not traffic around, the noise. And so, yes, we need economic development. We gotta be very careful what you wish for and how it comes to town and what kind of businesses they are. And you can't also dictate what comes to your town either. We have zoning rules and regulations. You can get in big trouble by saying, I don't want you in my town, or I want you in my town, So that is one issue we're facing, and also keeping our budget level, because if you have a nice level mill rate, people will come, businesses will come because they can afford their business taxes. And so it's a nice little circle that we live like that, but thank you.
Is there any other member of the panel?
Sure. I actually am supporting Art in regards to the economic development plan. Art has had an economic development plan. He's driving that home. He's been working on it. I don't think that a good economic development plan is let's get elected and figure out what the people want. Art is basically has the capability of signing this agreement if it goes through tomorrow evening. That's going to reduce our overall tax burden. And it's going to reduce that tax burden more than bringing in 10 CVS plazas into town as far as what the equated taxes are going to be. So it's a huge achievement. And I think that once that infrastructure is in place, along with the power grid and the fuel, we're going to have a lot more options in regards to what's going on in town. I think that really what we have to do is look at some hard facts. The hard facts are, as Mr. Evans alluded earlier, we have an aging population. The demographic is getting older. We're looking at fixed incomes. We have a school population that has decreased by 33% over the last 10 years, okay? And yet, when the Board of Ed comes forward and asks for a conservative $1.2 million increase in the face of that decline, we're gonna have a problem. And I think that if we look at electing somebody from the Board of Education onto the Board of Selectmen, that spending will continue, and I think we're gonna be in grave danger here. That's my, thank you.
Evan?
So I'm currently a realtor. I deal with real estate. I've been in real estate in one manner or another, as an investor, as a mortgage loan officer, as a realtor for over 20 years. And what we're talking about is marketing Colchester. Well, realtors, that's what we do. We market properties. We market the town. We market. I'm currently working with a gentleman in another town who wants to open up a business here. It's what I've done. And I debated sitting here whether or not to say this, but regardless of whether I get elected or not, I'll continue to do that. I will continue to market Colchester and to bring people here. But we need to bring in people. We need to have people working in our government who know how to market, know how to sell what we have here. as someone was talking, as Therese was talking about driving down Route 16, when I moved here, I actually moved here with my ex-wife. And the first night we were here, I turned off all the lights, went out the back door, and she said, what are we doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm going to show you why we live here. And all the lights, I said, look up. And she's from Manchester. And she went, oh my God, there's so many stars. And I said, that's why we live in Colchester. That's what I'd like to maintain here by bringing in the appropriate type of businesses that will maintain what we have here in Colchester.
Before we go any further, I just want to mention something that I should have mentioned earlier, forgot to do. We also have candidates for other positions that are in the audience. And I just asked them to put up their hands, so after this event is over, you may have questions about them. I see one over here, there. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 candidates for other positions. So I just want you to be aware of that. Okay. Now, I was wondering, anybody want to respond? Anyone on the panel want to respond to anything any other member of the panel said? And we can open it up to questions. Okay. Open to the question from the floor. Gentleman over there.
Good afternoon.
Please identify yourself.
I'm Ralph Bianco, and I've been in Colchester for the last 10 years. And it's been a very welcome event for me, coming from the Bronx, New York.
New York. Go Yankees.
I did read in the paper about the new windfall that we will have due to the fuel cell. And so my question is to the candidates for first selectman. With this windfall, 2 things. One, will that speed up the activities of completing the senior center? And what, as Rosemary Coyle said in the paper, we have to have plans for that windfall. Do you guys have any plans and know how you might be activating some of those income?
I'd like to answer because since he referenced me. You know, this is an opportunity. First of all, the senior center will take as long as it takes to do. So their first process is to get an architect, and that's what they're going to start working on their next meeting, to do an RFP for an architect. So then it will progress along. It has to come to the town for a vote. But on the fuel cell, when you look at having new revenue to the town of Colchester, I think it's imperative for the Board of Selectmen, the First Selectman, the Board of Finance, the Board of Ed, all of us really to sit down and talk about how this new revenue source, because remember, it becomes a revenue in the budget. So it can reduce taxes, but it also can maybe address some of the things that we haven't been able to address. For example, we have a 30-year-old pumper at the fire station that isn't working. We either fix it at some cost, or we replace it. But you don't just pick these things out of the air. I think it requires conversation. It requires bipartisan conversation. Everybody needs to sit down and talk about how we use these resources to reduce taxes, absolutely, but also all the other pieces. It's a really a tremendous opportunity for Colchester. Will it help in the paying of the senior center? Absolutely. If you look at the financial plan, between the bonds that the school came in at 1% and 2.3%, and what the senior center is going to cost, around $5 million at the rough estimate at the last building committee meeting. It will help to put everything into perspective into the financial plan, so that we know whether we can afford it or not. We cannot have those conversations in isolation. I don't know if I've totally answered your question, but to me, that's what I truly believe.
2 things. One, why aren't you running for first selectman? 2, your answer is well received, and I appreciate it. I asked the question of the candidates, do you agree with her answer? I'd like to hear from both of you.
You go first. Very well.
And yes, we do have a plan. We have a financial plan that goes out to 2034, I believe. The financial plan is based on reduction in debt service. In 4 years, the ECS, is it ECS school? Colchester Middle School will be paid for. That comes off the debt.
CES, the elementary school.
That's like a reduction of almost $400,000 in our debt payment. We pay almost $2 million a year in debt, which was 44.1% of school debt, but the town budget pays for it by law, by state statutes. So we have a plan that debt is dropping off. As it drops off, we have a amount of money that we can apply. That the senior center is not going to increase our debt. It is planned to be built when debt service is low. So even though we have to increase the number, you will not have to have an increase in taxes in order to pay for it. The senior center told us that 3 years ago. They don't want a senior center that they have to increase the taxes. That's why the plan is where it is. That's the way we're setting it up. When the time comes, we will bond it. The bond will be less than what we owe now, so there will be no increase in taxes. We have that plan. We also have a capital improvement plan. Everything we buy, we've already put the money away for. So if I have to buy a new police car next year, which I will, because we buy one every year, that money's already in the budget. If I have to buy a new truck, snow truck, plow, that money has already been put away. So I'm not going out and borrow money to do projects. It's there. It's already there. We have they call it a CIP, Capital Improvement Plan. It's been in effect for, let's see, 5 years, 7 years, 2022, we will make the complete cycle. Everything that we buy from then on out, the money is already put away. We just bought, you and I are gonna have a talk. She's been talking to you for 5 minutes.
So I honestly, I think a lot of great things have already been said. What I would add that has not been said is, I think each year we need to look at what the cost of running a town is and what revenue we have projected so that we can make sure that we don't unfairly or unnecessarily tax anyone. The one unknown that we have, however, is we do rely on some money from the state and federal government. And we know that that's actually not a good plan, right? Because we've seen year after year how they change their mind about what they're going to give us. So I think that it's a little hard to project forward, but I think the important piece is this is a great opportunity. If all of this comes to fruition the way it's being talked about, it's a great opportunity for Colchester for a number of reasons, one of which is this amount of money that will come and be infused into our budget, and we need to make sure that we're spending it wisely. We do have a terrific plan about replacing things in the town, but maybe there are some things that we are holding on to because we don't want to raise taxes or go to referendum to be able to purchase, and maybe those are some ways that the money could be used, which I think is a little bit of what Rosemary alluded to in that interview with the paper.
Okay, I saw something. Okay.
Out of that $5 million...
Please identify yourself.
I'm sorry, it's Patricia Olson. Out of that $5 million to build a senior center, okay, is that just taxpayers' money to pay that, or do we not get money from the state, and are there not grants that go towards that $5 million?
At this particular time, there is no grant money available for senior centers. The senior centers will be paid for by the taxpayers and you without increasing taxes for the senior center. I'm not saying taxes may not go up because of workman's comp or insurance or contractual obligations. I'm talking about we are not going to put, that money will be in a position that we will not have to increase taxes to build the senior center. That's been a pledge all along. That's where our financial advisor has made a plan. It's in a state of array right now because of the influx that we're going to get. The fact that we bonded the school a lot less expensive than we did. The school came in $1.8 million under budget. So he's got to take the plan that we originally had, rework it, which he's doing right now, and we'll come up with a breakdown of where our debt service is less than we had to pay last year. So that's always, I won't call it a surplus, there's no such thing as a surplus. The fund balance is what we use in case we have emergencies or a capital expenditure. We are in probably the best position that this town has been financially in probably the last 10 years. You know that our bond rating went up 2 points, went from, which is unheard of. Usually they give you 1 and then they give you 1. We went up 2 points. We borrowed the short-term note at 1%, a little over 1%, with the highest bond rating available in the state of Connecticut. We're in the right track. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for getting people together to figure out priorities, how we're going to do it. We will do that. The Board of Finance will be involved, the Board of Education will be involved. Yeah, the Board of Education gets money from the state of Connecticut. We have no control. The town has no control of what the state gives the Board of Education.
Do we have anything in that 5 million as of today? In other words, is there any, or is that going to be just a big lump sum that's going to come out when it's going to be built?
It's going to be bonded. It's going to be bonded in 2 ways. One, we'll do a short-term note so that we have money to pay the contractors at the end of the expenditure of the building, and we open the doors. We'll go out for a real full bond.
Gotcha. Thank you.
While some of these people have been speaking, some little buzzes and whatchamacallits have been going on. So I was wondering if everybody could sort of mute their, whatever those things are. And Rosemary, you wanted to speak on the same question.
I think Art covered most of that, so I don't really have anything additional to add.
Anyone else on the panel want to?
The only clarification is I used the number 5 million. That's not to say that it's necessarily that amount. They did a estimated 12,000 square feet at $400 a square foot, and that's, the building committee was just sort of doing that the other night. But once an architect, does a plan and a design, he'll come up with a number. That's their job.
Okay.
Again, just to add on to that, as someone who was actually chairperson of the building committee with the Jack Chapter Building Committee, like Rosemary said, what will happen in this phase, the building committee will be working with the seniors, the senior center, the administration. They will be coming up with plans with their design professionals. They will then determine how big a facility is wanted, the design of the facility. They'll come up with a preliminary plan that will address all those issues. They will then get a cost estimate associated how much it's going to cost. They will then, that's when it will go out to referendum. Right. All right, so basically the town will have an opportunity to say, okay, this is how much the senior center is going to cost. And at that time, a lot of the things that Art and Rosemary and the rest of the panel have said as far as the costs and the whole issue about how we finance the project, all that information will be made available to everyone who has a chance to vote on it. So people will be able to figure out what's going on. And there will be a lot of opportunities for input to the committee while it's going through the preliminary design process.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on the
A couple of questions out there, John.
Okay, another question. The gentleman here.
Hey, Bob Thurston. I bought my home here in town in 94. So I've been here for a while. You say that this $5 million senior center isn't going to raise our taxes. However, if we weren't going to build a senior center, we had $5 million to lower our debt. Therefore, our taxes would eventually go down. If we start buying stuff, all the time. Our taxes will go down. Our taxes have gone up this year already, because the governor has raised our taxes and put a whole lot of new taxes on us. That's still money out of our pocket. We build a senior center, that's still money out of our pocket. No matter how you roll it, it's tax money. It's $5 million of tax money that could be used somewhere else. That raises our money out of our pocket. And I don't care how many ways I look at you because you're the last one that said the 5 million. That's all. I just have to focus on somebody. I'm not really trying to do it.
Just wait a minute. Everyone else has identified themselves, so.
I did. That's Bob Thurston. Yeah, Bob Thurston. I did do that in the beginning.
Thank you.
To answer your question, you're correct. If we don't build another school and we pay off the old school, cost of the town is going to go down. But we're going to go backwards. If you want to go backwards, that's the way to do it.
But if we keep buying stuff, we're driving, as I think the gentleman over here said in the beginning there, about somebody that couldn't afford to live here anymore, we keep going this way, more of us are going to have to leave.
Well, let me put it to you, let me simplify it a little. If your taxes never go up for the rest of your life, hypothetically.
As you're saying in this fuel center.
And revenue increases, which is going to, we can do this. In other words, the revenue we're going to get from the fuel cell will offset the cost of building the senior center. And that's true. As long as our revenue keeps going up and our expenses stay level, we haven't had a large tax increase in 3 years. I think 2 years ago it went down. Last year it went up 0.56 mill rate.
Okay, when you talk about this stuff here.
Please don't do this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't want to back them.
Well, that's your answer.
Because we want to make sure everybody that wants to ask a question has the opportunity to do so. But somebody, Sean.
Yeah. My name is Jim Maurice. I've been here for 20 years. And if you want to know something about architect and the building the new senior center, ask your new architect to visit Vernon. The senior center is 12,000 square feet. It is beautiful. It's on a chicken window like this. The arrow glasses that white. I've been there twice already. I've been on the Wii game company with the people who play the Wii game. And we were there twice already. It's a beautiful place. They all welcome you like up and out. And as the architect, if you want to know the truth, ask him to go visit Vernon, the senior center. He would have got all the answers. Thank you very much.
Was there a question in there?
It was a question and the answer.
And to be honest with you, I think he just gave you a very good response to your question. Because the idea is this, it's all about balancing the needed services with the ability to pay for them. Now you and everyone else in the town will have an opportunity to do just that. You will have an opportunity, like I said before, you'll have an opportunity to vote on whether or not the town should bond for a new senior center. So that, again, just like every school that has gone up, everyone has had an opportunity before we make these investments. The town is presented with the information, and the town citizens are able to vote and move forward with any of these increased services. So it's a matter, we can present anything we want to you, but it's a situation where the town itself is going to decide which way they want to go. All right? So it's going to, and again, I don't think anyone on this board could make a better case for a new senior center than that gentleman just did this fact. Bruce is right there. Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, question? Any other questions? I thought I saw a hand over. Going once? Going twice? Going twice. 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 If there are no more questions, which I find hard to believe,
You're letting us off way too easy.
We'll stick around if they want to ask questions when we.
the panel members will stick around, also candidates for other office will stick around. And also be aware, we also still have refreshments left over here, but I frankly don't want to take home. So it's 3 o'clock, it's about 2 minutes to 3. So,
Thank you.
ask any questions to your candidate.
Thank you.